erupting in violent protests in Karachi as protesters raised the demand for Sindhudesh. The violence first erupted on December 7 when Sindhudesh protesters came onto the streets in Karachi, chanting slogans of Azadi on the occasion of Sindh Culture Day. Soon after, the situation deteriorated, with the police claiming that the protesters began pelting stones at the security personnel and engaged in vandalism. Police stated that this prompted them to tear gas the protesters, and following the clashes, 45 demonstrators were also arrested. For the past few years, Sindh Culture Day rallies in Pakistan have devolved into violence. In 2023, during the celebration, there were violent confrontations between law enforcers and protesters. Similar scenes took place in 2024 as well, with the Sindhi population in Pakistan demanding the freedom of Sindhudesh, which they state was illegally handed over to Pakistan by the British. The Sindhudesh movement states that the Pakistani military and state have subjected them to marginalisation, repression and discrimination for decades. With similar protests and calls for freedom in Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, the Pakistani government is under fire from all sides, with people raising their voices against injustice and repression. With Pakistan on the boil once again and growing calls for the freedom of Sindhudesh. The question that arises is that can Pakistan fight a war on 4 of its frontiers? It's now time, viewers, to welcome all my guests on the broadcast. I have Major General Sudhakar Ji. He's a senior geopolitical and strategic defense expert. I also have Major General C.G. Dwivedi. He's a global and strategic defense expert. I have Gautam Mukherjee, he's a senior journalist, and Robinder Sachdev, international affairs expert. All right, I'd like to begin by Major General Sudhakar Ji. Now, Major General, this of course, now I just want to begin by firstly asking you that what do you think, what are the socio-economic conditions do you think which have suddenly contributed to the heightened tensions in Sindh?
Vishali, good evening. Thank you for getting me for your show. And my best compliments to the very distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. As regards the question, it's not a new issue. It has been there since 1967, picked up momentum post-1971 liberation of Bangladesh, because the main driver as far as Sindhustan is concerned was the liberation of Bangladesh was based on the paradigm of language, Bengali language. That was the start point, which was denied by the Pakistani rulers. They wanted Urdu to be used in official text as also other languages other than Bengali. So if that could happen there, why not they could trigger or initiate a demand for an autonomous or an independent state? Incidentally, all the provinces, I would say Sindhustan particularly, used to be an independent and autonomous province or a state prior to the annexation and becoming an integral part of Pakistan. So therefore, the population being what it is, it's approximately 5.6 crores, and out of which you have the largest minority segments are located in Sindhustan. There is a place called Umrokot, and Umrokot has got the largest concentration of Hindus. The basic fact, socio-economic fact, if you go into the read between the lines, is that like Balochistan, Sindhustan has got a large number of natural resources. Particularly the Indus River passes through or runs through this particular province. And what has happened is it has added fuel to the fire that there are canal systems which have been approved by the government of Pakistan, which are connecting between the Indus River, and the water is being supplied to the arid portions of Punjab province, particularly the Cholistan. There are 6 canals, 5 canals are being built from Indus and 1 is being built from Satluj. So this is denying the basic right of natural resources which is passing through the state and giving it to Punjab remains one of the contentious issues of the local population. Besides that, most of our viewers would be surprised to learn that almost about 56% of the oil produced in Pakistan is from Sindhustan. 71% of the gas is from Sindhustan or Sindh province. So likewise, you have gold, copper, you have gypsum, you have lignite, coal, very high grade quality of coal, oil I have covered, and a host of other things. But when it comes to the budget allocation, unfortunately, you see, the budget allocation in Pakistan is done on the paradigm of the population. Punjab province has got the largest share of population, around 15 crores. So that takes away the largest pie as far as the economic allocation is concerned, or the budget allocation is concerned. What is happening in Balochistan? The same thing is also happening in Sindhustan, thereby giving rise to the such kind of social unrest, and their representation in the legislative assembly as also in the parliament are far and few, and as a result, the weight and the clout which they are expected or they are demanding by virtue of neglect by the Pakistani administration, they are not being heard, nor are they being given any kind of support by Pakistan administration at the center as also state level. And more than that is that this is a province which has got the gateway to Pakistan, that is Karachi. Karachi is if Karachi wasn't there, then Pakistan would cease to exist, because all export and imports are taking place through this port. This is the mother and the major port in Pakistan. And apart from that, you also have a huge coastline which affords deep sea ports which can be utilized and developed into commercial and entry and exit points for supply, export and the import. So all these things put together, it has a common border with Balochistan. It has got a large border with Gujarat and Rajasthan provinces of India. And Sir Creek also, which is very, very sensitive and vulnerable, which has got a disputed area of 96 kilometers. Unfortunately, it falls in the jurisdiction of Sindhustan or Sindh province, and that would be actually very unfortunate if it becomes volatile and a sensitive war zone in times ahead, if it is not tackled deftly by both sides in a mature and responsible manner. Back to you, Vaishali.
Major General C.G. Dwivedi, I'd like to bring you in and let's just discuss a very important point. Now, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh just last month in Delhi said the following, and I quote, "Today Sindh may not be a part of India, but civilizationally Sindh will always be a part of India. As far as land is concerned, borders can change. And who knows, tomorrow Sindh may return to India again." Now, very interestingly, Major General C.G. Dwivedi, this of course has irked Pakistan. And then there was a reaction that came in from them. And they said that India should not make provocative statements. What do you have to say about this?
Well, Vaishali, firstly, I am G.G. Dwivedi, not G.C. Dwivedi. You may like to note it. I think the statement by the Defence Minister is well founded, because when you see culturally, Sindh has a lot of commonality as far as the culture with India is concerned. But what is happening in Sindh today, I like to focus on that, and that should not come as a surprise, because when you try and analyze the DNA of Pakistan, Pakistan is a state after 78 years is still struggling to find its identity. It claims itself to be an Islamic state, it claims itself to be a democracy, but it is following a very peculiar hybrid system where the army controls and the politicians are only the front faces. It is in the dire debt, 70% debt, as a part of the GDP, and it is primarily not Pakistan but a state which is Punjab state, because it's the Punjab which is dominating the complete Pakistan narrative. And all the minorities, whether you take Baluchis, you take Pashtuns, or you take in POK or in Sindh, they have been marginalized over the period of time. There have been human rights violations and excesses have been committed by the heavy-handed approach of the army. Now, this is where the Pakistan narrative stands, and you had mentioned that how many fronts Pakistan can fight. Well, Pakistan has a survival instinct, and it does fight on number of fronts, and it is also fighting today. Beside its internal problem, it is fighting Afghanistan, and it treats India as an existential crisis. So that is what gives the Pakistan army the legitimacy, because that's what they say, that we are the savior of Pakistan. So therefore more fronts are opened for the army, better it is, because they can convince the public that they are the people who will save Pakistan. Now 3-4 points are very important. Firstly, Sindhi's nationalism is deep rooted, and of course it got its cue from 1971 Bangladesh, but in 2010 there was a very important amendment to the constitution, which was 18th amendment, which gives full powers to the provinces. And that's the time Altaf Hussain, who heads the MQM Mutihada Qawmi movement, had said that, look, this is the time that Sindh actually can claim to be an independent state. The second point is that as far as Sindhis are concerned, they have not been able to amalgamate with the Punjabi culture. They stand as a very different identity. And that is a grouse, because trying to impose Urdu language, they have their own Sindhi language, they have their own Sindhi culture. So therefore, it's also the identity crisis and of course the economic crisis. And the last point which I want to mention is that Pakistan has created these problems for itself because it has an internal destructive mechanism where it knows how to get into number of problems at the same time. And today, what is happening in Sindh, what is happening in Balochistan, what is happening in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, what is happening in POK or Gilgit-Baltistan, or with Afghanistan or India, this is entirely the making of Pakistan and primarily the Pakistan army. Vaishali.
Right. Now I want to go across to Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist. Now, Mr. Mukherjee, Pakistani security forces have been accused of serious human rights abuses in Sindh, including enforced disappearances, torture, and extrajudicial killings. So this is, of course, really coming from somewhere. What do you have to say for that?
Yes, it is a chaotic situation. Not only are they economically bankrupt, they are beholden to both America and China without being able to provide any real sustenance to either. Their provinces, this has been long predicted and it is rolling out day by day. All the provinces are in revolt. The army has now, Munir has just consolidated its power to be above the Air Force and the Navy. I don't know how well this will go down with the chiefs of the Navy and the Air Force, but it has happened. This amassing of power is not helping because resources are inadequate to quell so many different rebellions, all happening at the same time. Repression, as you have alluded to, is what is going on. You're catching people, killing them outright, non-judicial killings, and hoping that you are stamping out the difficulties in that area. But it doesn't happen that way. Balochistan, they've been doing it for ages, and it has only consolidated the opposition. Sindhudesh is now emerging into the international news. POK, Gilgit-Baltistan, is on the point of breakaway if they were better populated. You know, the general pointed out that most of the population is in Punjab, West Punjab, and eventually Pakistan will remain as a rump state composed of just West Punjab, because the others have difficulties with resistance because they're in smaller numbers, but at the same time they're spread out over large areas, and it is quite possible that they will intensify their resistance because of lack of resources, lack of allotments, and just plain repression is not going to hold the country together. So this is a very fraught situation. Another thing that is going to bite harder and harder as the time goes on is the fact that we have revoked the Indus Water Treaty. They will not be receiving the amount of water they need in any of the provinces. And particularly, it will lead to unrest in Punjab itself, because it hogs the lion's share of the water. So things are not looking good, they're only going to look worse.
I have Mr. Rabinder Sachdev, international affairs expert, also with me. Now, Mr. Sachdev, we all know Pakistan is an extremely unstable political nation, and I just want to ask you that, do you see this as a political struggle or an identity struggle, or both?
Interesting. Interesting. I think perhaps it's more an identity struggle. And the reason I say is that if it were a political struggle, let us look at the Provincial Assembly of Sindh, right? The assembly, the state assembly, I think they have around 160 seats also, out of which the PPP, the People's Party, they have 115 seats, which they won in the last election 24. Sindh has traditionally been dominated by the PPP party. And politically speaking, so, I mean, it seems that people are voting for the PPP. So, and with good majority, okay. So, it seems more an identity struggle, one. Secondly, yes, water is a key issue. I think there was a treaty between the provinces of Pakistan way back in 91, wherein, the water share of the Indus waters was allocated to each. Punjab is supposed to get around 56% or 55%, and Sindh around 33%, and the balance others. The issue is that Punjab has been taking up more water of the Indus and leaving less for Sindh tradition overall. And now, especially after the Indus water, our treaty sharing, we kind of, started screwing a bit tighter the screw. Pakistan has come up with a Green Pakistan Canal scheme, right? Through which they're expanding and making more canal systems in Punjab itself. So again, the idea is that if these canals get operative, whatever water was coming, less per the agreed share would still be even lesser for the people of Sindh. Water has another dimension for Sindh. The Indus Delta has apparently been reducing, okay, and sea water has been coming up along the coast. In places up to 80 to 100 kilometers, the sea water has come in, okay, or has, let's say, overtaken the land. That is an existential crisis for villages or maybe towns, who are living near the sea. So this whole issue with water is definitely complicated. Identity is the other thing, but politically speaking, it's the PPP, okay. And yes, the key is, again, identity, that Punjab, the people of Punjab, they control, as all our eminent colleagues are saying, they control all the nerve centers of Pakistan's, whichever machinery you may say, starting with the military, the intelligence, the Supreme Court, others, the bureaucracy, okay, is all Punjabi dominated. So that's another element which I think, if I were to look at a question, political or identity, it leads to identity. The other thing which I would say in an overall sense, I don't see this present situation in Sindh as bad as what we are seeing in Balochistan and KPK. Sure, yes, there are expressions of unrest, and there are definitely, yes, high-handedness by the Pakistan army, but the situation overall is not like what is happening in Balochistan in terms of the killings, in terms of the insurgency, and what's happening in KPK. In Sindh, I don't think we see much of an insurgency, okay, fighting against the Pakistani state. Yes, there is oppression by the Pakistani agencies, but there is no armed insurgency much as if we were to compare to Balochistan. So I would look at these few pieces as of now. But yes, the point is these are trend lines, and as Pakistan, kind of implodes or continues to implode over time, these trend lines could get firmer, and as Pakistan's attention, I mean, it's not to say attention gets diverted, it's juggling all balls within the four provinces, with Afghanistan, with India. So obviously, their bandwidth is getting stretched in terms of the capabilities and also in terms of the economy. And for it to be able to, manage the expectations and aspirations of the provinces is proving more and more difficult. But the flip side is that Munir has become even more powerful. Okay, so he would be saying, and that's what Pakistan says, that given all these challenges, the army needs to be even more powerful. So, what could happen is that in all of these, but others, and including in Sindh, the army could take even a more high-handed stance. They could come down and suppress with force. And if they suppress with force, then of course, which is an identity movement at present, could, then veer off also into a political movement.
Now, Major General Sudhakarji, I'll come to you now. What do you think would be a peaceful and politically inclusive solution which would be good for all sides? Major General Sudhakarji, am I audible to you?
Yes, it's loud and clear. I am just thinking, are you asking from the perspective of India and Pakistan or with reference to Sindhustan?
With reference to Sindhustan, sir.
Okay, I'll answer your question, but why should India look for a peaceful situation if Pakistan, the other relevant stakeholder, is not interested in peace and harmony? It's about time that we become pragmatic and we develop a strategy to counter the strategy which is being applied by the adversary. And the strategy which is being applied by the adversary, instead of 1,000 cuts, bleed India with 1,000 cuts, they have started using the terminology bleed India with millions and trillion cuts. And also without any cut, they would like to bleed India to death. If that be the design and the strategy which is being adopted by our Western neighbor, I think it will be very foolish and silly on our part to talk about the peace. We should plan to give back our response in such a manner that Pakistan ceases to exist. But having said that, these are my personal views. It can be contested, it can be debated. Now, for a peaceful solution, I personally feel that as far as Pakistan is concerned, Hindustan, India can aspire to have peace with Pakistan, but it will be impractical to have that objective in our roadmap of future as also the present. And we have tried enough for past 75 years, nothing has worked out. The only solution that comes to my mind, our power, our economic might, military might, and the ability to give back to them like we did in Operation Sindoor Phase 1. If you do not do this, the Thucydide historian of Greece, long back in 425 BC, he said something very interesting, that the strong will continue to do what they must do and the weak will continue to suffer what they must suffer. What it means is that in Hindi, jiski lathi uski bhais. This is the kahavat, and same goes for Pakistan. Unless you teach Pakistan with equal measure, if not more, and in a punitive manner, there cannot be any peace. To get peace, we have to be prepared for the war. And to be prepared for war, there has to be one intention, one objective. That is, we are designed, we are cut out to win wars. We are here to win wars against adversaries like Pakistan. Only then you can aspire to get peace with a country like Pakistan. Back to you, Vaishali.
All right. Now, Major General G.G. Dwivedi, I want to end with you, but we only have 2 minutes left. So I'd just like to ask you that what scenario do you foresee if the root cause of the conflict remains unaddressed? Just 2 minutes on this, sir.
Oh, well, 2 minutes is a big time. Well, I'll just come with a bullet point. First and foremost, please understand the Pakistan very psyche and existence is how to match India or how to outdo India and how to weaken India and how to break India. That is the psyche of Pakistan. So they, in their dictionary, peace is not the language they understand. The second point is Pakistan as a nation is still struggling to get its identity, and they have so far failed, and I don't think they are going to get their identity anytime soon until there is another breakup which is quite evident on the cards. The third is Pakistan is rental state. It is being used by America, it is being used by China, and that is their characteristics. And my last point is we have to ensure that today we are not dealing with Pakistan. We are dealing with Pakistan and China together. That nexus is developing. We have to understand that today Bangladesh is a trilateral that is coming up, and a lot of animosity against India from Bangladesh, and Pakistan is signing defense pacts with Saudi Arabia, and they want to enlarge this to Turkey and other countries. So the point I'm trying to make is we have to be today wary of Pakistan, not by itself, but the number of other players who are part of the Pakistan game, and only one solution. India has to strengthen itself to face multiple threats, because Pakistan and its so-called allies do not see India prospering, neither they want to see India strong. I think India has a challenge today, which is combined challenge, which is posed by Pakistan, China, Bangladesh, Turkey, even other countries which are yet not come out very clearly. But we saw in Operation Sindoor, Pakistan had number of allies to support, and we possibly had none. So all I can say is, in Pakistan, peace is not there in the dictionary. Pakistan can only survive if India can equate with India, and therefore India's strategy has to be totally strong in all facets to face the cumulative threat that is actually building up further challenges in time to come. Vaishali.
It has been an absolute pleasure speaking to all our esteemed guests today, and thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. And viewers, with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. Stay tuned to Newsx.